William opened the note and frowned. It appeared that Mr. Harding was ill and unable to attend him. He looked up at Madison. "Thank you. No response is required." He stared at the note on his desk, considering this latest development. When had he started mistrusting James? A little more than 3 years together, and only recently had he felt a shift in their arrangement. Hopefully the man was legitimately ill and not just avoiding him. William stood and strolled over to the window, his hands clasped behind his back. The garden was bleak as the day, cloudy, damp, and dismal. This time of the year was his least favourite. The merriment of Yuletide had ended, and nothing would appear on the horizon for a few months. Shaking off his gloom, he strode from the room and made a last-minute decision to call on Lady Amy. He always smiled when he thought of her. She was a fellow member of the Mystery Book Club of Bath, as well as a congregant in his church, St. Swithin's. Several months before, they had worked together on solving the mystery of the death of her ex-fiancé, Mr. Ronald St. Vincent. As unusual as it sounded for there to be a gently reared young lady involving herself in a murder investigation, the subject of homicide was not something completely unfamiliar to Lady Amy. Unbeknownst to the public, she was the very well-known murder mystery author E.D. Burton, a fact he had learned during the course of their investigation. He still smiled whenever he thought of that. "I will return in time for dinner," William said to Madison, as he shrugged into his coat. "Very good, my lord. I will advise cook." He strode to the small stable at the back of his home to tack his horse, Major. The Cleveland Bay had been carrying him about town for many years. The familiar, comforting smell of hay and animal greeted him as he approached Major's stall. He ran his palm down the horse's satin nose. "I promise I will take you for a good run sometime soon. I'm afraid right now we're only travelling to Lady Amy's house." Almost as if the horse understood, he stomped his foot and shook his head. William spoke soothing words to the animal as he finished tacking, then led him from the stable and mounted. With a squeeze of his thighs, he headed away from Wethington Manor toward Amy's house. Lady Amy Lovell tapped her pen against her desk as she considered the next red herring in the murder mystery she was currently working on. For some reason, she had been having a hard time concentrating the last few days. It could very well be the dreary weather. She glanced out the window and rested her chin on her hand. Nothing of interest ever happened this time of the year. Now that the social events of the holidays were over, it was too early for spring and her annual retreat with Aunt Margaret to Brighton Beach. Amy stood and stretched, dropping her dog to the floor. She scooped the Pomeranian up. "I'm so very sorry, Persephone. I forgot you were sitting on my lap." The dog regarded her with disdain. It amazed her how she could ascertain her dog's moods. Of course, no one believed that her dog had moods and that she could determine them. But when Amy did something of which Persephone didn't approve, the dog would raise her non-existent tail in the air and stroll away as if she were the queen. What Amy needed was to get out of the house, go for a walk. Even in the damp, cool weather, a stroll could help clear her brain. Her mind made up, she shuffled her papers and stacked them neatly on the corner of her desk. "Persephone, let's go for a walk." She reached out and pulled the dog to her chest. "We will take a nice walk and get some fresh air. You are beginning to put on weight and need some exercise." She rubbed her nose in the dog's soft white fur and glanced out the window again. Well, maybe not fresh, but better than indoor air at least. Perhaps her close friend Eloise would be up for a stroll. They could take a walk to the pump room and hope the entire time that the threatening clouds did not dump on them. She hurried down the stairs, the idea